Why were you fired, if you can explain this in a few words?
It looks like I haven't fully grasped this myself, and judging from Prime Minister Groysman's words, I think that everyone understands what's going on. Do you mean what became the tipping point? Actually, everyone saw everything that's been going on before this was. It was in the public eye. Our position has been to stop payments that aren't justified. Just think back about the situation with the General Prosecutor's Office. Think about the situation with the ineffective distribution of costs allocated for mines, or repaying our loans in the energy market sector, the grant-in aids used by some politicians. On all these questions, our ministry had its own principal position, and of course this didn't stay unnoticed. Things like this always cause a negative reaction and increases the amount of enemies we have, but that's okay. It's not possible for a finance minister, for a finance ministry, to have everything going on smoothly. It just doesn't happen. Because our job is to defend the interests of taxpayers. But for some reason, many people think that these funds can be used frivolously, just because you're part of the government. That's just not right. The thing that the Prime Minister failed to understand is that this is what a finance minister needs to be like.
When was the point it became clear to you that you are getting fired? Because it seems like the conversation about it had been going on from your very first day in the office.
It became clear to me on Wednesday, June 6th, after the order that the Prime Minister Volodymyr Groysman gave to Parliament. Why? Because he knew that he had not done it before Thursday, when the law on the anti-corruption court was being voted for. He wouldn't have succeeded. Because his reasoning is strange to speak mildly. The question of my behavior during the Cabinet of Ministers session, this behavior was completely reasonable because it's my right to assign myself a team, not the Prime Minister's. That's not how a state body system works. If he doesn't understand that, then I hope now he does.
Now your deputy is the acting finance minister. Does the team stay or are they living with you?
The people who came to the office with me, that is, Yuri Butsa, Serhiy Marchenko, resigned. We as a team are leaving the Ministry of Finance. Also, the advisors who helped me with work are leaving too, of course.
And who would that be?
For example, Yana Bukhrimova, a very strong member of our team. She is also leaving the ministry. Oksana Markarova is staying. Frankly, she did not arrive at the same time I did. She was here prior, and it was the Prime Minister himself who asked her to stay at the ministry. She is carrying on with her job.
You talked about corruption in state bodies multiple times, in the General Prosecutor's Office, in the State Fiscal Service. Can you give us an illustrative example of corruption in the State Fiscal Service?
I will give you one example. Everyone in Ukraine has known about this for many years and couldn't do anything to fix it. That is until my team and I have resolved the issue. I'm talking about corruption in the sphere of tax reimbursement. That was a well-organized business which for a bribe would return money to entrepreneurs. The bribe would vary. The highest was 30%, sometimes even higher. But in the last years it would be around 20%. Billions were laundered. But last year we managed to launch a transparent mechanism to reimburse taxes.
The letter that you sent to the ambassadors of the G7 states, did you know that the Prime Minister won't forgive you for it? Because you haven't approved it with him beforehand.
It did not bother me at all whether I will not be forgiven. It was not me who started this firing mechanism. I was preoccupied with another task. The issue is, it is truth. And my opinion is that the people behind it need to apologize. By the way, I asked the Prime Minister to apologize for his behavior at the Cabinet of Ministers session because it is not what a relationship between a Prime Minister and a Finance Minister should look like. We need to work as one.
You started off in pro-Poroshenko's team. Did you speak with the President before your dismissal about what comes next and his take on it?
I spoke with him, but right before the voting, when he was in the parliament.
And what did he tell you?
That's between me and the president.
Were you happy with the conversation?
I don't assess our conversations like that. He's the country's president, and if I tell everyone about our private conversations, it won't be right. I can tell you what I said. The question that is bothering me is how the situation will progress. Because this year has been very difficult, and the next one will be incredibly hard. It is my big concern that nobody is thinking about 2019.
You mean the deadline for repaying the money by international obligations?
That's just one part. It's also the presidential election year. We're working on the budget. We need to approve some decisions, but we're not capable of doing that. We're not prepared to approve decisions.
Will this year's budget be met?
It all depends on when we're getting the tranche.
And when is that?
I will speak technically, with no dates. We've just voted for the anti-corruption court. The next step is the IMF's reaction. If they say, we agree, we count it as a satisfied condition, that's one scenario. If that doesn't happen, that's a different scenario. Basically, if that happens, the government will have to work on the gas tariff decision. And after that, when this is done, we will have an agreement with the IMF and an approved decision. I don't know how long this will take, but I expect these procedures to be done by the end of June. That's the schedule we need to be following.
What's next for you? There's information circulating that you are planning to join a political party. Are you going into politics? And will you take part in the presidential elections in 2019?
My plan for the nearest future is to join a political party that is called my family, and which I simply have not spent enough time with. To spend some time with my children and my wife, to relax. All the rumors that are going around, I just don't even want to comment on them. After a work that's stressful like that, where my life was basically work, it all seemed like one day to me. By the way, I have already received some offers and I'm now starting to work on a book.